has mud on its face, and it's one of the premier organizations, if not the premier organizations, in speech communication and language communication and voice communication, and it's, in my experience, dominated by the National Spasmodic Dysphonic Association, which is funded by Allergan.
Well, it's interesting that
I don't see a conspiracy or reality. I see a cover-up.
You reported cures in a book called Curing Hopeless Voices.
Right, called Spasmodic Dysphonia.
And after you reported cures in that book, they've raised ethical concerns about reporting cures. Why is...
No, they haven't. They haven't raised it. They stay away from the issue of cures. They want to affect my career and my life on a different basis, that I do not represent the position that they may have. But they don't approach it on the basis of cures. They don't want to talk about cures. We know that.
But isn't the cures of spasmodic dysphonia the crux of why there's a difference between you and your national association?
It's not only that.
You differ with them
on
whether
totally.
The existence of cures.
Yes,
you
I'm
believe
the only
that
doctor in the world reporting
cures. But you
cures
believe that there are cures. You've seen them
I not
firsthand.
only believe it, I have peer review
you
in
have
1980.
experience.
Yes, there's no question about it. I documented this ongoing and so forth.
Even if somebody asks you to recant, you can't recant personally because you've seen them and witnessed them firsthand.
Yes, we have documented.
It would be intellectually dishonest, would you admit that?
Yes.
If you were to recant on cures, because you've seen them firsthand. You've even had patients who were in fact cured by you on this very show demonstrating.
I've had them on national shows. I've had them on the Maury show, on the Sally show.
What about Fox News?
I've been on Fox News with the same thing. But the interesting attribute is that it fascinates me. It's a Semmelweis story, how they deny reality, and then after a period of many years, they turn around and say Semmelweis was right. What about the Black Plague in 1345? Took 550 years. What about the other situations where Galileo, I believe in the 16th century,
well, he was placed under house arrest
for the last 8 years
and wasn't
of his
he
life.
Showed the instruments of torture?
Yes, and he recounted. He said that the earth revolves about the sun. Now, it took the Pope 350 years to recant himself on the front page of the New York Times in 1992. So, if you don't have a sense of humor about all of this, there was a fellow who lived and died. I believed he was in the Netherlands or Denmark, one of those countries, who wrote a journal. He worked in the church as an administrator, who said the earth revolves about the sun. He never published. And some fellow came along by the name of Mueller, I think his name is, and he went public on it. They burned him at the stake. Galileo was shown the instruments of torture and he recanted immediately, a bright man. It is alleged on his last breath he said, "The earth revolves about the sun." Now my answer to all of that is that there are cures of spasmodic dysphonia. Spasmodic dysphonia is not a neurological problem, it's not a disease, it's not a medical problem, it never has been. They've never had a single cure in over 135 years. That's the cartoonish aspect. And they have all these theories and their white jackets, and they're going the same route that they went in 1345 in the Galileo era with Resolin, with prefrontal lobotomies, which was honored by the medical community for 35 years and ended in disgrace. The two guys involved got a Nobel Prize. So how could I take myself seriously, Dr. Curtis, and stand on the street corner and yell, "You are all wrong. There are cures of spasmodic dysphonia where there are documented. They're on a DVD, 2 hours. You can get them on my website if you get tuned in." And the interesting attribute is there a conspiracy, a reality conspiracy? You judge for yourself what's going on.
Well, the difference between a conspiracy theory and a reality is something you've lived through.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you've witnessed concerns that they've had. I mean, that your respected association, national association, has taken a position against cures.
Yeah, they have a dead-end tunnel. In 1991, I'm sorry to interrupt you, a leading ear, nose, and throat doctor at the Pacific Voice Conference answered an individual, "I am talking like this, there's about 500 people there." And this good ear, nose, and throat doctor said this when the poor individual with the strangled voice asked, "Is there any light at the end of the tunnel?" She was very kind to say, "There's no light at the end of the tunnel. I'm just saying, I believe they're wrong. They're on the wrong road. They've been on the wrong road for 135 years in the medical profession. In my field, they've been on the wrong road for years and years, too. And they're all entitled to their position. It comes down to one point, just one point. Doctor, can't you give choice to those who suffer the strangled voice, who have a high suicide rate? Can't you give choice if you had your family, or you yourself, and I have had medics who come to me because of spasmodic dysphonia and are cured by what I do. If you had no choice, what would you do?" And they look for choice. They go for a second opinion, a third opinion, a fourth opinion. And in this case, they don't give choice, and they know about the cures. Because I sent 14,300 letters out to the entire medical profession, telling them there are cures and documenting it. So what is your comment, Dr. Curtis? I should be serious? I shouldn't take them in a cartoonish way?
Well, I think it's becoming abundantly clear to at least somebody who's watching the show, or that you're not going to roll over. I mean, there will be a time when they carry you out feet first.
Still laughing.
Still laughing and cackling. Mm-hmm. But until that time comes, you're not going to recant.
No, they've sent an emissary to
But they have, in effect, showed you the instrument of torture, because I know that there was one woman who worked for Allergan who told you that if you would recant, that they would refer to you.
Yes. I told her, "I'm sorry, I can't recant. I have peer review, and there are cures." And I'm sorry to tell the young lady who is with the NSDA, National Spasmodic Dysphonic Association, there are cures, and that's the end of the matter. Thank you for coming in. So they've tried all ways and all means. And what would you like to summarize? The title of the program is?
Well, it's Conspiracy Reality.
Well, is it a conspiracy?
Well,
it looks more and more like it. I call it a cover-up.
I think that to the extent that the person who files ethical charges is working for the drug maker, mm-hmm. it certainly would suggest that there's a reality to the conspiracy. Mm-hmm. So,
well, I think they're all well-intentioned, Dr. Curtis. You have little faith in people. They have their views, and their views are based on their careers, their income, their paradigms, their ego, and so forth. And I wish them all well, but I'm sorry to say they don't give choice to those who suffer the condition when there is choice and there are cures, and there's no question about it, and they don't want to discuss cures because it's not the issue of the day, and it makes them to be inappropriate in what they're doing, regardless of the fact they're wearing white jackets, which I respect, but not in this case. You want to end the program, Dr. Kurt?
Well, I think that that people have had a good chance to hear on both sides of this issue, and I think the bottom line is that you're offering somebody an option to a standard medical treatment, either a surgery or an injection. If they want to see a voice improve, that they
possibly cured.
Possibly cured. You can, and you do not guarantee cures, do you?
I report cures.
But have you ever guaranteed cures?
No, I never guarantee anything. But the medical profession guarantees there are no cures. My field guarantees it. I want to thank you all for joining with me. You decide what your position is on this issue. And now we have the Christmas Carol because it's entertainment time, and it's a lovely song. Thank you for joining us.